When we finished the last video, we were just going over how to create a grade rule library, and I had explained the first page down where the rule tab is at the bottom, that if you're doing numeric, you put in number. If you put in alphanumeric, you can change it and put in letters like small, medium, and large. So I have to fix that now. And I don't think I want to because I already had that nicely. So no. Okay, so my base size is 12. My smallest size in this one is 8. And I could make it go down to 4. But this one already has the rules set up. Is this one? Nope, this isn't a good one. This is one that somebody accidentally, probably me, had in metric. So when you open a grade rule library, so we'll come back here. If I want to create a grade rule library, I'm going to click on my file folder, and I've got some rule libraries down here. I've probably got more than I need, but I've got test ones. So I click on and highlight it so that it's blue, and then come up to the top where it says File, New, and then come down to Rule Table. When I'm creating my new rule table, this is handy because this one already says imperial, and that's what we're going to be working with. But what if it didn't? What if it said metric? Some of you will encounter that. If you want to work in metric, you can work in metric, but you still need to check this at the beginning and make sure it's set the way you want it to. So if it didn't, I would go to View, Preferences. So on the top list, I go to View, Preferences, and it's in imperial, but I could switch it to metric. And when I choose the other button, the save function appears. I'm going to come back to imperial, but make sure that it's imperial when you get started, or you'll have to fix it. And since I've changed it, I'm going to save it with the little save icon, and then I'm going to close it. So this is a new grade, and I have the choice of what size breaks I've got here. So I'm going to show you that. And the one most similar to what we did last time is the other one. Do I have the same thing? Okay. The one most similar to what I had before is the one that Hope did. And I'm going to open that. Oh dear. And when I explained it before, I have the numeric rule table. My base size is 12. My size step is 2, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. My smallest size is 4. You could put 6 if you want to. My next size break is 10, and then 16, and then 20. And when I was explaining that before, we were looking at grade rule 1 in the Kathy Millett book, Pattern Grading. Grade rule 1, I'm going to skip relative and come down to incremental. Grade rule 1 has 0 in both the X and Y direction, but sizes 4 to 10 have an inch grade in between, and sizes 10 to 16 have an inch and a half, and sizes 16 to 20 have a 2-inch grade, I believe. Yes. So we're in chapter 5, and you want to come down to where we're our 1-inch grade, 2-inch, 1.5, and 2. And then as you come further down, 1, 1.5, and 2. But grade rule 1 is 0 in both x and y. And when I'm explaining it, I will usually skip relative and come down to the bottom 2 rows for every rule that you enter. So rule 2 has 1/8 of an inch grades all the way across. And when we're entering the grades into the rule table, we're going to look at where our base size is, and everything that is growing larger and to the right of that is the negative and positive we're going to focus on, because the computer automatically deducts the smaller sizes. We just have to enter in the right number. Unless when we get up further into rule 12, in order for it to grow, it is grading in the negative direction, and this one we would have to enter in a negative number, but I will come back to that. Okay, so we're going to enter our grade rules. The first one would be 0, and the next one is going to be 1/8 of an inch when you look at the bottom row, because relative, it's 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8, and we're just looking at the numbers that we need to enter. So coming back to here, so we were making the correlation between 4 is the smallest, 10 is the size jump, 16 is the next size jump, and 20 is the largest size. So the grade break happens between the 10 and the 16, and that's why I entered the numbers the way that I did. So we'll look at that again. And I just managed to choose different ones. Okay. So this one has just the 3 different places to enter. So when I switch to rules and you're looking at rule 1, it's all 0 in the x and y, and it has 3 lines. Sizes 4 to 10 are our inch grade, sizes 10 to 16 are our 1.5 inches, and 16 to 20 are 2 inches. And you're not going to see a difference in rule 2, it's all grading 1/8 of an inch, but then when you get up to rule 3, you can see that 1 inch, 1.5, and 2 inch grades start to happen. The first 4 to 10 are grading 1/4 of an inch, 10 to 16 are grading 3/8, and 16 to 20 are grading 1/2 an inch. Now if you come back and you look at right here, and we want the next page, don't we? Okay. So on rule 3, 1/4 of an inch in the negative, 3/8 of an inch in the negative from 12 down to 2, then 0 on the 12 because it stays the same, and then 3/8 between the next 2 sizes, and then 1/2 of an inch in the next sizes. Well, if you look on our grade rule, the ones out to the right are growing larger, and the ones to the left are getting smaller. And when we look at the rule table, rule 3 has all positive numbers, and that could be very confusing. But when you look at it and our base size is 12, the computer knows that everything below 12 is going to be the opposite of what it shows, and everything above 12 is going to be what it shows. So rule 3 is 3/8 of an inch positive above size 12 and positive 1/2 an inch above size 16. But this number is automatically a negative, and so is the break between the 12 and the 10 a negative number, because it knows that size 12 is the base size and it's going negative or the opposite direction from 12, and from 12 and above it's going to do what it says to do, so that we don't have to have a headache. We are just entering all positive numbers on the rule table for whatever it says to do in those sections. We have to enter a different number, so this is 1/8 of an inch, and this is 3/16, and this is a 1/4 of an inch. And if you look in that same book, in the last 5 pages, it will have the a page that shows the decimal equivalents. And maybe you don't want to get nauseous while we find that, but it's on page, okay, there we go. It's Appendix C, page 230, and it's showing you the decimal equivalent of a 32nd of an inch is 0.03125, and then on 1/4 of an inch. So if you have a hard time with fractions, this is your new favorite page, and it is page 218. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay, so I'm going to put in the positive numbers like it's showing in the book until I get up to grade rule 11, and then I have negative numbers on my larger sizes. So I have to enter the negative numbers, and then the computer will automatically do the opposite on the smaller sizes. So on grade rule 11 and 12, you need to, 11 is going to have a negative number in both x and y, and rule 12 is going to have a negative number in just the x direction. I feel like I am talking so much, but you can see that here, and that's the part that seemed to confuse people. So on this particular one, 11 and 12, this should be a negative number. So I need to go in and add that negative number, and come on. Okay, so how did I end up down here? So 11, uh-oh, did I just do the wrong one? I better not save this again. So I'm not going to save it. 11 is a negative number, and x on rule 12 is a negative number. So double check those before you use them. Or make sure that you're creating it, it's that way. But when you have a negative number, the smaller sizes below size 12 are going to automatically do the opposite of whatever this says. Okay, no, I don't want to save that because I made a mess of it. Okay, so this one is a little bit different. If it confuses you to have all of those different things in there, this one is one that Marin did, that's from it's in Imperial, and it is from our text. It's also base size 12 with size steps of 2, and it has the smallest size of 4, and then it chooses every size, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. All the sizes are there. 12 is still our base size, but when we come down to rules, you can see the star by the 12, so there won't be any grade between these two. but from 12 going up it will get larger, and from 12 going down it will get smaller. And this time, if it confuses you just to have the size jumps, you can fill all of them in. So rule 1 is 0, and rule 2 is 1/8 of an inch. This one, our view preferences, if you look at that, well, it looked to me like that was going to be out to the 3rd decimal place. Usually 1, 2 would show up as a 3rd. Okay, so rule 3, you can see 1/4 of an inch per size between 10 down to 4. And between 16 and 10, it's 3/8 of an inch. And between 16 and 20, well, 16 to 18 and 18 to 20, it's 1/2 of an inch. And so on. And all of the grade rules come from the Kathy Millett book. And then when this one gets to rule 11 and 12, 11 are both negative, 12 has a negative in the X only, and between size 12 going down, so from this row down, the computer is going to automatically reverse this. So you only have to think about the grading going in one direction at a time, not two, even though you know it's going to go the negative number that you put in. It's going to do the opposite. And as you practice doing it, that will make more sense. So if the largest sizes are negative, put in the negative number. Otherwise, ignore the negatives in the small size and just put in the positive numbers. Okay, so we've got our rule tables, and I'm going to close those two. Now, if you want to copy the ones that are on ZeroShare, you will want to double check them, but if you come over to the P drive in ZeroShare and go all the way to the bottom, you have Hope and Marin. Marin has all of the grade rules. Hope has just the size breaks, but the negative numbers need some attention. But I would double check them all before you start using them. So you would just highlight that, right click, copy either one, and then paste it into your file folder. And I've changed the name on mine, so I probably shouldn't have, but I believe this is I'm looking at the model. Okay, so Hope has 3 size breaks in mine, and Marin has all of them, but they're both Imperial. Okay, so our next thing, we've already got that. So we're in Pattern Design, and I'm going to come over to File, Open, and if you need to, pull in your, well, I'll open it in from my C drive first and show you what I did. This is my name for grading, and I have pulled in grading for Sloper Form 13, and when I open that, I carefully took all of the pieces and flipped them. So if you want to come back to this so you don't have to worry about flipping your pieces, if you already know how to do that, it's not a problem. And to get that one, you would want to be in your folder, and you would come down to to number 1, grading practice, and you'll copy the basic grading sloper, so right click, copy, and then you would paste it and I'm going to put it in my Data 90 file so I don't make a mess. And I'm going to paste it in there, and paste the components, but you'll put it in with your name. So I've got this basic grading sloper F13, and I have all of these pieces. You're going to want to go down and change it so that you take out ZZ through 8 and put your name there on all of them, and just rename them if you haven't already done that. I think a lot of us did that in the last video, but if you decide you want the different pieces I've got in here, it includes the pants, and the pieces have all been flipped. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my grading section, and I've renamed all of my pieces, and I've put them in the model so I can make that small. And so I've opened them all in here. If it's easier for you to start, sorry you have to wait for my hand to catch up to my voice. If it's easier for you to start with the fronts, because that's what we practiced on, I believe it was this one. If it's easier for you to start on that one, you're welcome to do that. You're just going to come in and add all of the grade rules. But this assignment is starting with the pants. So I've got my back and my front. And if your pieces are all solid lines, just know that you don't have to grade this dotted line or either of these two or any of this. Anything that's dotted is temporary, and you're only looking at the outer edge of the piece. And if you want to change that, you would go up to Edit, Customize Screen Layout. Nope. That's how you get to the dots and add your grid, and then say OK. Display, so you'd go up to Customize Display and make sure that you've got clipped for the first one and dash for the second one, and then apply, save, and OK. And then it will look like this if it makes a difference to you. So I don't have any grading on this piece, and as I get started and I've got my grade rule library made, you're going to go in and switch to grade. Then you're going to choose all sizes on all of the pieces you're going to be working with so you can see it happen. There is no grading applied, but now that it will show when I apply it. So I'm still in grade up at the top, and that's where you're mostly going to stay, and go to Assign Rule Table, and then select the pieces that are going to get this rule table and say OK. And then it comes up and you want to make sure that you're in the right place. So I'm in the C drive, but I need to switch to my grading one, and then I'm going to choose this one because I think it will be easier for you, and say OK. So they are all, it's ready to be graded now. I've got my front ready to grade. My rule table, I want to choose Marin, say OK. And then let's see what I've already got here. Select the piece, say OK. And a lot of that is graded, but since I know most of this is going to be 0 up here, I know it's awfully pretty, but that's not what we're going for. So for the front, "25, 26, 19, and 3. And I think this looks right already, but we'll check and see what happens. So I'm still in grade. I'm coming over to modify rule number and choose that one, and it's 25, and apply, and it's not changing. And then this one, and then over here we need another grade rule that we don't have. So on the curve up here we want to add a grade rule and call it number 19. So I'm still in grade. I'm going to say OK to that one, and then I'm going to put in add a grade point. So I'm going to put my grade point right here where it's curving. Now that's a grade point, and I can add the rule number and choose that, and we're going to call it 19 and apply. Well, I caught my intermediate point, and that's not what I meant to do. So it would be okay. That's what it would look like if I swapped those two lines and I had a less of a flared leg at the bottom. So I'm going to undo that, and instead of having that grade rule there, I'm going to undo again and get rid of the grade rule on the dotted line, and this time when I add my grade point I'm going to touch it down here and slide it further up. I'm still going to put it in the same place, but now it's on the graded portion, not that intermediate line that doesn't really exist unless you want a straighter leg. So now I can go to my rule number and choose that little triangle and say 19. And that looks better already. All right. 3, 20, 2, and 0. So the corner here, apply. Well, it looks like I have a little intermediate line that doesn't belong there. So I'm going to try that again. This time I'm going to get this. Nope, I'm still on that dotted line. Okay. 3. Alright, that's better. And I can go into modify delete line, and will that go away? Yes, it did. It went away. If you haven't taken that class, don't worry about it. I will just ignore the line. 3, 20, and then 2. So my darts, back in grade, rule number, I want my green dart and 20 apply, and 20 again. Always remember to say apply. Okay, so this one we want to make sure we get that solid line. That's going to be number 2, and apply. And my corner is a 1. And then we've got these last 2 sections to do, and some of you I notice we're having a problem in this area, but I think it's because you've got that intermediate line. So I think we need to create a grade rule right here again, so I'm going to add a grade point, and I'm just going to put it there where that intermediate point is. And that number is going to be 23 and then 24. So grade, rule number, choose the point, 23, apply, good, and then choose this point, 24, apply, and that looks reasonable. And okay. So that piece is graded successfully. Now, if you want to watch all the mistakes I made, if you're having mistakes, you could learn from them. I don't recommend it, double speed it. But down here on the back, I graded the back and I went around and did it. And if I can come up and say all sizes and choose this piece. Well, when I apply these grade rules, all look correct, and I want to look at how this grades with it. So in this area, we do have some discrepancy, but I think that's in the shape. I need to come back and look at that. Let's try putting on rule 24 right there. So rule number 24 right here. And apply. Did that change? So now when I line it up, it's grading the same. And the rest of this is grading the same, but the back graduates the length of the dart where the front is not. And my grading on the side seam is the same. So my only problem, my front is graded correctly down here, but my back, I've been having problems with it. I know it's something simple, but I don't know what it is. And I don't know whether it has to do with that I started grading this piece and then changed my rule library and went back to it. But if I change this one to number 26 like it's supposed to be, these are all getting shorter and they're supposed to be getting longer. So if I line this up on the side, they're all supposed to be, the yellow ones are supposed to be this length and the blue ones are supposed to be this length, and on my back it's the opposite. And I've applied the same grade rule to it that I did to this corner, so there's a mystery. And if you want to go through the trauma of what happened getting there, you're welcome to, but I don't recommend it. So you can stop watching the video now. That's how you put the grade rules on, and then you want to compare it and see if they match. And we're doing fine up above, just not down below. Be careful not to catch the dotted lines. When you're grading, you only want to grade the outer edge. And we'll pick it up from there next time. I'm going to come up still in grade over to all sizes, and I'm going to choose all sizes on my pieces and say OK. And you can see this one has started to be graded, but it may or may not be correct. And this one, nothing has happened yet. So staying in grading, but you at least can tell that the rule table has been assigned. And I'm going to come over here to modify the rule number and choose enable, and I'm going to just move this out of the way, and when I choose the point, I want that to be grade rule 26, and then same thing, rule number, choose the point down here, and it's only going to choose the base size. You can try to choose all the sizes, but it will only connect with the base size. And that one is going to be 25. Is it going to make a difference if I type it in? Well, here we have a negative number problem, so I probably need to open up rule 25, and that means if I come down and look at this, rule 25 has negative. No, the X direction, yeah, it has negative. So the real problem might just be that I'm using the wrong number. Or not. Isn't that rainbow pretty right there? I'm sure that's not the right grading for it though. So if we come back to this one, we're looking at our pants grade. Our first one looks like it must be 1 because that's 0, and then 2, and then 20, and then 3. So let's see if I can remember that. 1, 2, 20, and then 3. Oh, okay, I probably just need to start over every time. Nope. So if I enter rule 1 and say apply, now that has gone down to what it should be, and then the next one is 20 and apply. Again. Oh, but it won't work if I say 29. So 20, apply, and I'm doing my back, and that one's actually supposed to be graduated, so let's look at those numbers again. Two and 22. So this one needs to be 2, and this one needs to be 22. Yep. 22. Apply. Okay, that looks better. And then it's allowing me to do another one as long as I highlight the right point, and that one's back to number 2, and apply. So you just have to remember to say apply, and if it doesn't let you choose the next point, then say OK and get back out of it. So that's got number 2, and then my next grade rule is going to be 20 and then 21. Just remember to say apply. We're back to 20. So it's starting to look like it's supposed to, and I don't remember what the next one is. Three, and then 19 and 26. Well, I'm having trouble with that because I've caught that dotted line, so I want to come back out and approach it from the outer edge and make sure I highlight the triangle. And did I say 21? I don't remember now. 19? No, I didn't. You were probably all shouting that at me out there, weren't you? Okay, so that one's going at 19, and I can choose, oh, I need to come from the outside again. I can choose the next one and put 19, but you would only put 2 that close together if you had 2 notches that you needed to keep that way. And we know how I would change my stack point. Well, maybe I wouldn't on this one. Alright, so only that middle one is going to highlight, and I need that one to be 26. Oh, there's something wrong there. And this one is going to be 25. Okay, so we've got a backwards grade there on 25 and 26. These need to be moving negatively. So rule number 25, our x needs to be a negative number, and so does our y. So I'm going to come back out and change now. This might be dangerous. 25, our x is a negative number. You do this before you get started. And then in 26, 26 only the x is negative. Because you want the largest sizes to get longer. Okay, so it's probably dangerous to be doing both of those things at the same time, and I know there's another way to do that, but I want to be consistent with what I've been explaining. So, alright, enable. Sometimes you don't have to choose enable, but it's a good idea. Okay, so our lime green one is our base size, and we want that to be number 26, and I'm going to retype it in so I can say apply, and it's still going the wrong direction. So it's possible I may have made a mistake of some sort, which would be nothing new. Well, of course. But I changed them all to a negative number. This also may be one of the ones that has a typo in the book. Oh, yeah, that might be the problem. Okay, so let's do this one. That's number 27, and then 23 in the middle of the rise. 27 and 23. And then along here there's no grade rule, so I want to add a grade rule. So I'm going to add a grade point right here. And now I'm coming back to my rule number. And that was 23. Okay, so it's looking a lot nicer. Other than my mistake over here, I want everything to be going. My Y is correct, and my X needs to change on both 25 and 26. So I'm going to say OK and come back out here to this, and I didn't need to change it because part of that was already correct. So the X's are a positive number. Because the larger sizes, no, the larger sizes are a negative number in the X. Oh, well, you know what that means. I probably can't do what I did, which is no surprise. Just make sure you do this before. Alright, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to close it. I'm also going to save this, and I'm just going to click on the save button and choose that piece and say OK. And then the grading disappeared, so I need to come back and put in all sizes again, and there it is. And this dart is grading more than this one because it's further away, and it's grading the same as the side seam. So I'm going to close this, and I want to save them and overwrite them, and then I'm going to reopen Pattern Design. And then I'm going to open the piece again, because I think the real problem is that I just didn't let that update. And now when I choose my pants back, I can come up to grade choose all sizes, touch the piece, say OK. Uh-oh, do I need to assign the rule table again? Oh, okay, that brings up another really good point. So I've assigned my rule table, but I have my pieces automatically, if I go to Edit and Customize and go to Paths, I have them automatically retrieving from the wrong file. So I'm going to choose my C drive, my name, notch is correct, and then I'm going to use my Marin grade and say apply and save and OK. And now maybe I won't have the same problem I was having before. And hope I'm going to leave that in, so if you need help troubleshooting that, you'll see it. Okay. So coming back to grade, assign the rule table, select the piece, say OK, choose Marin, say OK, then all sizes still in grade, choose the piece, say OK, and apparently I lost all the pieces that I did last time. Do you know why? Well, it's really simple. I had it auto-saving in the wrong place. So if I come over here to File, Open, and I go to Sandcastle where I saved it, and I open this one, I'm going to say, well, no. I'm just going to open the piece, and I'm going to come over to Fuzzy Pants Back and open that one. Do you think now it's going to show, or do you think it's still the old one? Yeah, I'm showing you all of the bad habits.